Hello and welcome back to Cloud Security Masterclass, where we simplify complex cloud security topics for you. Today, we are diving into Google Cloud IAM roles. We will discuss why basic roles are so dangerous and what we should use instead. We will also have a demo to show escalation of privilege from editor role to owner role. This is a foundational cloud security topic for anyone interested in GCP security. Let's start by understanding what GCP basic roles are. Basic roles were the original IAM roles when GCP was first introduced, so think of it as the old IAM model. They include the owner role, which controls almost everything in a particular GCP project, the editor role, which can modify almost all resources, and the viewer role, which has read-only access to resources. So where do we see these basic roles being created in GCP today? Couple of important scenarios here is new projects where people quickly grant access without thinking about security. When you create a new GCP project, the persona who creates that GCP project automatically gets the owner role. The second assignment scenario for basic roles in GCP is when GCP creates default service accounts, which are supposed to be used for machine credentials for various GCP services. In some of these cases, GCP assigns a default service account which has editor basic role by default. So now we know what basic roles are, but the real question is, why are they so dangerous? The biggest security problem with basic roles is that they grant way too many permissions across all GCP services. Here are screenshots of the total number of permissions in owner role and editor role. These are almost 10,000 permissions in each of these roles, which is way too overprivileged for normal cloud identities. That's like giving every employee in your company a master key to the entire office building, including the CEO's office and the server room. Bad idea. Now, what if a bad actor gains access to a basic editor role? Boom, they can now deploy a compute engine VM, attach a high privilege service account, and suddenly they have full control over your entire cloud environment. So the risk of privilege escalation with basic roles is very real. Attackers love basic roles. In the demo, as part of this video, I'll show you how you can escalate privileges from an editor role to an owner role pretty easily via high privileged service account. Alright, we established that basic roles are a security nightmare. So what's the right way to manage permissions in GCP? If you want to use the easiest path towards least privilege, use the predefined roles provided by Google. These are curated for specific services and personas and enforce the principle of least privilege by default. Now, what if even predefined roles gives way to permissions? That's where custom roles come in. With custom roles, you can handpick only the permissions you need, remove unnecessary access to reduce attack surface, and align permissions with your organization's security policies. But keep in mind, managing custom roles takes extra effort, so use them when necessary. All right, let's now go to our demo on escalating privileges from editor to owner role. I have logged in to the GCP console with the user csmdemo999@gmail.com, which has the editor role. And I will try to grant more permissions to this role, which is what this demo is going to demonstrate, escalation of privileges. And I'll use this grant access section, give it the name of the principal, and try to add the basic role called owner to this user. And immediately I'll get a policy denied. And this is because the editor role does not have permissions to add more permissions to it. And so it does not work like that. So what we'll be doing as part of this demo is trying to see another way of doing this using a high privilege service account. Now I'm again logging into the command line to demonstrate the same thing, that this user does not have permissions to add more permissions to itself. So we'll run the add IAM policy binding command, and again we get the same error as we got from the console, reconfirming that this user cannot add more permissions to it. If a hacker had access to this editor account, the next step for them would be to pivot to a service account to figure out if they can run the same command using the service account impersonation. So the command to list all the service accounts in this project is IAM service accounts list. And we can see that there are a couple of options to choose from. We'll choose the demo test. And the command to impersonate would be the config set auth impersonate service account. So let's try to impersonate this service account and see if we can run the same IAM policy binding command now with the credentials of this service account. And what we see here is that we get an error. This time the error is a little different from what we got earlier. The error is telling us that the editor role is not able to impersonate service accounts. And there are a couple of reasons to it, or there could be a couple of reasons for it. One is that the editor role does not have permissions to use the service account, which is not possible because all basic roles are added by default to the resource policy of the service account. So the other reason for this would be that the service account get access token permission is missing from the editor role. And to confirm that, we are going to first unset the service account, and then we are going to check the permissions or the policies that are assigned to the IAM role, and we're going to filter out the service account specific ones. And we do see these list of policies, and we don't see the service account token creator. And that's the reason why we're not able to impersonate the service account. However, we do see an interesting permission here, that the service account act as permission, which means that we may not be able to impersonate the service account, but we can attach the service account using the service account act as permission to any other GCP resource and be able to essentially use the permissions of the service account. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm logged back into the GCP console as my editor user, and I have pre-created this Cloud Run function for this demo. This Cloud Run function is attached to the same service account which we saw from the command line. And the reason why I was able to do so was, again, because the editor role has service account act as permission, and so it's able to attach the service account to any other GCP resources. In terms of code, this Cloud Run function would be essentially trying to do the same thing which we attempted to do earlier with from the console and from the command line, which is basically trying to add more permissions to the editor role. And in this case, you can see the role that I'm trying to add is IAM security admin, and the member is CSM demo user 999@gmail.com. So let me switch back to the command line and invoke this Cloud Run function with my post HTTP method, and let's see what happens. Okay, from the output of this invocation, seems like the role was added, but let's go back to the console and verify. I'm back into the IAM section, and I can see that my CSM demo 999@gmail user now has two roles attached to it, editor and security admin. So what do these new security admin powers give me? They now give me the ability to add as many as IAM permissions as I want. So I can now add the owner role to my editor role just from the grant access section. So as you can see, I was successfully able to escalate my privileges from editor role to the owner role using a high privilege service account.